All right. My clock says 12:02, so let's get started. First, welcome to the SleepSat training workshop. My name is Heath, and I run the support line here at Patient Safety. If you have any questions during this webinar, we'll be having a question and answer time after the 15-minute training. Today, we'll be going over the resources available to you as a patient safety customer. We'll be going over the SAT Screen Connection Center in tandem with the SleepSat 3D high resolution pulse oximeter, the SAT Cloud web portal, and some of the features there available to you, and some future features too that we're really excited about. And lastly, some best practices for both you and the patient. To get started, we're actually going to go to our website, which is sleepsat.com. And to get to the resources, you can either just at the top select resources or sleepsat.com/resources. Here at the top, you can see our how-to video series, which we'll be watching a video from here in a moment. But that includes the setup and use and install of the connection center and also the use of the SAT Cloud web portal. If we scroll down, we can see those video links again. We can also have some annotated reports and some other reporting information here. All of our publications can be found at the top as well. And here at the bottom, we have the guides and manuals for both devices that we support, the SleepSat and the Konica Minolta 300i. Not just the guides and manuals, but we also have some FAQs and troubleshooting on both of these units as well. I would recommend going through this documentation. If you come across anything, most likely we have a write-up on it. And if you can't find anything, please feel free to give me a call here at the support line. I love to help and try and get back to you in under 5 minutes and get you a solution as fast as possible. We'll actually be going through this best practices near the end of the training. But to quickly move on, we're now going to go over the use of the SAT Screen Connection Center and the SleepSat device. As you can see, I don't have the Connection Center open. We're actually going to start with the Connection Center closed and by charging the SleepSat. We do recommend charging the SleepSat for an hour prior to attempting to download. Mine's already charged up, so I'm going to go ahead and hold down the left power button on the unit until it says probe off. It's going to go through two screens, the first being the version number and the second being probe off. Probe off just means that a probe is not connected. Once it says probe off, we're going to go ahead and plug it into our computer. You should have just heard a connection noise. And now that it's connected, I'm going to come back to my desktop and open up the Connection Center. The Connection Center is going to go through some authentication processes just to make sure you're fully logged in. Should be opening here in 3, 2, 1-ish. Should be opening up a little bit. There we go. Now that it's open, you can see it's already syncing my device. And if you take a look at the SleepSat itself, when you do this, your device will be counting down. Where it's counting down from, or seconds or frames, depends on how much data is on the device. There's only 2 hours of data on this unit, so it's only counting down from 27. Should be about to connect. There we go. As you can see, our study appeared here right below this light blue criteria box. If we hadn't have had a study pop up here, my first recommendation is going to show all recordings. If for some reason there was the probe had a bad connection with your patient, or there was just a bad fitment, or possibly they didn't even turn it on, that will be really evident here in show all recordings, since it will show, like we see here, all the minute recordings compared to the sleep studies that it creates based off of these criteria, which are all editable. To download a report, we're going to go ahead and enter the patient's information. This is Smith, if I can spell, Jones, and luckily he was born today. Now that we have the patient's identifiers entered, and because there's only one report on this device, it's already checked for me. But let's say that I had 3 I wanted to download, we would just check all 3, making sure that there's that check mark in that box. Next, we're going to hit start downloads. Um, Depending on how large the studies are, it normally takes in between 30 seconds to a minute to get a report. This one's a little bit smaller, so it shouldn't take as long. Um, Once that goes through, though, we're actually just going to immediately close out of the PDF that it's currently downloading. That's because all reports that are downloaded are automatically saved to our SAT Cloud web portal, which we'll be reviewing here in a moment. And we find that that's the best way to review reports since it doesn't even need to be on the same computer. As you can see, here's my report. I'm just going to automatically close out of it. Close out of this download pop-up. And next, I'm going to get the device ready for the next patient. We've already downloaded this report by entering the first name, last name, and birth date, and then hitting start downloads. So at this point, all we have to do is get the device ready to go out to that next patient. We're going to start by setting the device clock. Over here under tasks, set device clock, hit OK. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Just OK again. And next, we're going to clear the device. We do recommend only having one set of patient recordings on the device at a time. It can hold more data than that, but it just makes it a lot easier to keep track of whose reports are whose if there's only one patient at a time on the device. To clear the device, we're going to come here at the top of tasks is clear device recordings. And just like with set device clock, we're going to hit OK, OK. This is my demo device. I'm just going to hit cancel. All right. So if you just went through that process, your device is now ready for the next patient. And we'll be going over some charging procedures here in a little bit to make sure that it's ready to just hand out. I'd like to go over our SAT Cloud web portal, which the easiest way to get to it is either through our website, or you can just come down here in the right corner and hit view all reports. And that will either bring up a login screen, or if you've already saved your login credentials, it will automatically open up this patient screen. The easiest way to interact with this patient screen is by searching your patient. This is a demo account, so I only have 4 patients here that are displayed. But let's say I want to review Mr. Jones's reports. I can just type in last name Jones, and there he is. Coming into his patient profile, we can edit the information associated with these 6 reports by hitting this blue pencil button. We could add his height, weight, neck size, gender, birth, change that birth date. Most likely he wasn't born today. But after all those changes are made, we can just come up here and hit this green save button. I'd really like to highlight a feature that we're really excited about, which is our multi-night reporting. And here's a snapshot of it. This allows you to show the patient a progression of their reports without having to have 8, 9-page reports and progressively showing them that. This is our snapshot, which is on every single patient profile. But if you would like a printout for your patient, here in between the reports and the snapshot is a multi-night PDF button. If you select that, you'll get not only a more robust multi-night report, but it's also a much more printer-friendly version. Other features available here in the SAT Cloud web portal is the profile page. You can make changes to the account that you're logged in under, be that the email, the username you use to log in, including password. And to make that change, we're going to hit this blue pencil button again, enter the new password, and again, the green save button. Moving down the list, we already went over patients, now reports. And the report shows all reports uploaded in chronological order of recording, not upload. So as we can see, Mr. Jones recorded something as far back as 2017. And our most recent is John Doe recording on December 7th of last year. We can make it to that patient page at any time through this reports page by hitting this blue edit patient icon. If you would like to download these reports and get the PDF, just hit this red PDF button. Next, we've got the organization. You don't really need to mess with this all this much. We set that up for you. Next, we have subscription. If you would like to add a credit card to your account or change the credit card to your account, you can do that using this blue plus sign. Enter the card information and then the green save icon. If you have multiple reports and you'd like them to be on separate credit cards, that can be done using this payment method drop down. The last one that I'd like to point out would be our members page. Let's say you'd like your office manager to have their own login. To do so, you'd enter their first name, last name, and their email, and then hit invite user. Once that's done, they'll get an email to set up their account, and they'll be able to log in with that account, upload reports under that account, and then depending on if you set them as an admin or a member, they'll be able to make changes to the profile and add members. All right, moving on, I'd like to go over the best practices for the SleepSat device. To get to that, we'll actually come back to our resources page. And under the FAQ and troubleshooting section, we've got the SleepSat best practices right there. Scroll back up. All right, we already reviewed some of the charging procedures for the device in that charge the device for an hour prior to downloading. We would recommend when charging the unit, charge it via a wall charger. A power converter does come standard with your SleepSat. We do recommend using that just because it has a consistent power output compared to computers that can shut down when they go into sleep mode. We do recommend charging the device for at least 4 hours before it goes out with your patient. And we do have quite a bit of luck with our patient or customers just leaving the devices plugged in, ready for the next patient. Next, we've got our patient section. And we do have quite a few resources for both you, the provider, and the patient when interacting with a SleepSat device. One of the best resources that we have right now is our patient video, and that can be found at our sleepsat.com/patient video. I'd like to watch that with you right now. Please note that we're going to watch this on 1.25 speed, just because we have some more content to get through. Make that full size. And I'll be pausing when there's something that I'd like to highlight.
An oximetry test has been ordered by your clinician to monitor your oxygen levels and heart rate while you sleep. There is no alarm on the SleepSat device, and it is not intended for real-time monitoring. For best results, remove nail polish. Avoid laying on the hand with the sensor, putting it above your head, or tucking it underneath a pillow. Turn the oximeter on only when you're in bed and ready to fall asleep. If the finger sensor irritates your finger, switch to a different finger. Charge device fully between nights. To begin, take out the patient instructions, finger sensor, and the SleepSat device. Remove your watch and any jewelry you are wearing as well. When you're ready to fall asleep, step 1, plug finger sensor into SleepSat wrist unit.
All right, paused it at a bad time, but on the SleepSat probe, there is a specific orientation when plugging it in. There's a small bump on the quote unquote top of the probe and a cutout of the SleepSat, and you need to match those two up. If you're having to force them together, most likely the orientation is just wrong. Go ahead and flip it, make sure they match up, and continue plugging it in. When plugging it in, it should be firm. It's harder to plug in than, let's say, charging your phone, but otherwise you shouldn't have to monkey it in.
Step 2, put wristband on your non-dominant arm. Adjust to fit. Step 3, Insert one of your fingers into the sensor. Make sure your finger is inserted completely. Your fingertip should touch the end of the sensor.
All right. This is a perfect image of what it looks like when the patient's finger is inserted into the probe. As you can see, this little tab at the end of the probe, the patient's finger should be touching that tab. It shouldn't be completely folding it over, and the patient's finger shouldn't just be floating in the middle of the probe.
Step 4. Press N on the power button firmly until the display lights up. Lie still for 2 minutes before falling asleep. If the finger sensor comes off or is removed during the night, or if the wrist unit continually flashes send off, put the sensor back on, making sure your finger is inserted completely. Press the power.
A better, more concise way to say that is if the patient does not see the little red light coming from the probe, which will be very obvious in a dark room that they're sleeping in, go ahead and just hold down that power button until they see that red light come back on.
Power button firmly until the display lights up. Step 5. In the morning, take the oximeter off. The oximeter will turn off automatically after 2 minutes. If testing multiple...
Just to give a little bit more detail on that point, have them take off both the finger sensor and the SleepSat at the same time and let it turn itself off. Once it turns off after 2 minutes, they can then charge the device if they're recording multiple nights, or just return it to its case to bring it back to you.
Nights, return the finger sensor to the carrying case for safe storage and plug the SleepSat into the USB charger. Charge the SleepSat for 4 to 6 hours, then repeat the test the next night. At the scheduled drop-off time, return all equipment as instructed by your healthcare provider. That's the end of this video. Thank you for watching.
All right, and just to reiterate, that was on 1.25 speed. It does move a little bit fast at that point, but at a slower speed, I would recommend having your patient watch it, but then showing you what they understood from the video. And if they're not putting the device on correctly at that time, you have a chance to correct them and make sure that they understand what they need to do when they're at home with the device by themselves. The next point I'd really like to highlight on is cleaning the device. We do recommend, and we have a list of approved cleaners. The main one is 70% isopropyl alcohol, either in wipe or solution form with a cloth. Non-approved cleaners can damage both the probe and the housing of the unit and drastically reduce the usable life of your equipment. So the capacity of the unit, we get a decent number of calls on this. Just to clarify, the SleepSat holds up to 70 hours of data. And so that's between 5 to 6 nights, depending on how long your patients are sleeping. We do, again, recommend clearing the device off after each patient to avoid getting close to that 70 hours of data. There is also some troubleshooting on this best practices, and I recommend going through that. If you have any questions, please call the support line. All right. That is actually the end of our training session. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm joined by my manager, Amy, and she and I will do our best to answer your questions. And if we can't, we'll send a follow-up email. We'll also be sending out a recording of this training. And so if there's anything that wasn't clear, please feel free to just go back and watch that, or again, give us a call or email on the support line.
Okay, and Keith, while those questions are coming through, I do just want to announce to everybody who's on the call today that we also have an update that's coming soon. So we're going to be adding some new functionality to our SAT Cloud web portal, so that online portal that he showed us today. A few of those things include customized alert settings. So we sent, for example, default alerts for patients that are at risk of either mild, moderate, or severe sleep apnea based on their RDI. And there's a few other things there as well. We'll also be taking a look at improving the search and sort feature, so you can search your patients through that patient's list, or even by, worst RDI, looking at some of the data and the data display for those patients. So we're really excited about that. And there's going to be a lot more features coming to that SAT Cloud web portal. So we highly recommend just getting in there, utilizing that functionality, that multi-night reporting, and the data analysis that we're putting in there as well.
Good deal. All right. And looks like we don't have any questions. If not, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we will be sending out a recording of this. And if you have any questions, please just email or give our support line a call.
All right. Thank you so much, Heath.
Everyone have a great day.